everyone. Thank you for tuning in to watch. I'm here at my cousin Orly Booker's house. Thank you for granting us this interview, and I'm so gracious that you are sharing your wisdom of 95 years with us. So if you can, just take an opportunity to kind of tell everyone your name and when you were born, and a little bit about your experience. You were an education professional.
I tell you what, I was born 1919, February 27th.
Ooh.
So 95 years young.
95 years young. Y'all hear that? All right. Now we're going to go ahead and dive right into the interview. And I wanted to ask you, so many times as young people and growing up, we get so discouraged with things that happens. And, you know, a lot of times we'll have ups and downs, we'll have wins, and we'll have losses. And I know you've seen these things not only happen to yourself, but with other people in the family and with friends. What keeps you going?
I tell you what, my faith in God is what keeps me going.
Amen.
In fact, I accepted Jesus Christ when I was 10 years old because I didn't want the boogeyman to get me. And so anything that I attempt to, I want, believe it or not, I ask God for. And
Yes,
He
ma'am.
is true to His word.
Absolutely. I believe that. The second question is, what is the most important trait you think or characteristic that you think an educator or a teacher or principal should have in order to be an education professional?
I don't know anything that a person can have that would help him in life than faith in God.
Amen. Amen. I absolutely believe that. What words of encouragement could you give somebody that's about to give up on their dreams, or they keep hitting closed doors?
Here again, I hate to do it,
Oh,
but I
it's
go
okay.
right back to God.
Yes, ma'am.
Anything that I ever wanted, I went to God and asked Him for. Because He said, if you love me, keep my commandment, I'll
Yes, ma'am.
give you the desires of your heart.
Amen.
So loving God will give you the desires of your heart. Anything you really want, trust God, ask God for. That's what has kept me going.
Yes, ma'am. I really believe that, and you have lived a blessed life. And so we definitely need to make sure that we listen to that and keep God first and keep His commandments. We have to strive to enter into those straight gates, and we have to make sure we're doing what He wants us to do. And then He won't mind giving us the desires of our heart, because He knows He can trust us with them.
Right.
You know. This next question is, what do you think makes a person a leader?
Really and truly, I don't believe that leaders are made. I believe leaders are born.
Amen. I love that answer. And why do you think that?
Because you cannot do anything on your own without God.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to be a leader, you come here with that leadership ability.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Because there are some people that thrive. I mean, and they came out the womb. You knew they were going to be somebody. You know,
Right.
and a lot of times you'll see different people, and, you know, they'll be celebrities or billionaires, and they made it. They pulled themselves up by their bootstraps. And you'll see their teachers. They'll interview their teachers, and the teachers will say, I knew he was going to be somebody. I knew she was going to be somebody. I saw something in them. You know, they'll be second and third grade teachers. And,
Right.
and like you say, sometimes you're born with it, you know. So I definitely agree with your answer on that. The next question is, what do you love most about God?
He is true to His words. You can
Amen.
always depend on Him. That's what I love about Him.
Yes, ma'am.
The things He said that He will do, He will do. Not like us back off sometimes.
Right. And then, like you say, even sometimes when we have the best intentions, sometimes we're not able to come through on our word. You know, but
Right.
God is going to come through each and every time. He is faithful.
Right.
He is faithful with His promises and His word.
Mm-hmm.
So that's so true. And, you know, I'm definitely a devoted Christian. And so, you know, we share that, and especially in our family and whatnot. And so I just had to ask you, knowing that you are faithful with God, you are always there in Bible study and church every Sunday, I had to ask you, what was your favorite thing about God? Because that was going to keep me going. But yes, that's a brilliant answer, because
Right.
He is true to His word.
Right.
And if you seek Him, and you know what His word says, and you won't even have any worries, you won't be stressed out. There's no reason to, because
Right.
God handles all that.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Our next question is a good one. Over 95 years of your life, what is your biggest testimony? Your biggest testimony?
My biggest testimony. Okay. Really and truly, that's what God has done for me. That's what,
Yes,
okay.
ma'am.
He made it possible for me to, in other words, I'll take, God placed me in a Christian home.
Yes.
That's my biggest testimony. He placed me in a Christian home. Therefore, I've always been had an environment of Christianity.
Yes, ma'am.
And God has always been there for me. And I didn't know how to really develop things, but anything that I wanted, believe it or not, I asked God for.
Right.
Now, I laugh and tell people, children is one thing I never asked God for. But I love children.
Right, yes,
but
ma'am.
I love people, but I'll never ask them for no children.
I love that answer. I mean, I want children, but I haven't really asked them about that. I just feel like when I'm ready, to get married and and He'll bless me with that. I love your testimony though, because it's so hard. If you're not placed in a Christian home, then it takes you longer to find God. Then you have to find your way, and the setbacks are just ridiculous sometimes. But when you grow up in a Christian home, it's much better because you have that foundation.
Right.
You have that foundation. As soon as you step out, okay, wait a minute, no, that's just the devil. Whereas other people who are not placed in Christian homes, they have to find out the hard, in a hard way. So, the next question is, how do you know when someone is a true friend or not? That's going to be there for you through thick and thin. Because, again, we're talking to young girls and we're talking to women. And, sometimes we can betray each other. And so what is a true sign to you when you know when someone is a true friend?
A true friend going to be there, tell you the truth. That's a true friend. Right. They're not telling you what you want to hear, perhaps, but telling you the truth, how they see it.
Right.
Really
I like that. I like that because a friend, someone that's not your friend will lie to you and they'll have to think in all kind of ways. But when people care, they tell you the truth. They tell you the truth. My next question is, what is your most memorable moment during the Civil Rights Movement?
Really and truly, during the Civil Rights Movement, I was not in Mississippi during the Civil Rights Movement. I was in Amarillo where Negro was in minority. Okay. And when you have people in the minority, then people are not afraid of you. But in Mississippi, blacks were in the majority, so they were pushing much harder. But in Amarillo, there were only a few blacks, so the whites just accepted them.
Right, because so they were not the majority. And it wasn't a threat.
Right, wasn't a threat.
But in the South, I could see where it would be a threat, so you have to work harder to...
Right.
Yeah. The next question is, what quality, because men and guys these days are not, I'm sure you can agree, they are not the same. So what qualities do you think that Dr. King and Malcolm X and Medgar Evers had that men or boys these days may not have?
I feel that they had faith in God and pursued God with their activity. Now, that's my real
your opinion. No problem. Yeah, I think so.
In fact, I was in school with Medgar Evers, and he was not a rowdy child in school. Student. He was very sincere in school. On the campus at all.
Yeah, and that just lets you know that people that are sincere get ahead. You know, that you don't have to be all rowdy and loud to make a difference. You know, you don't have to command attention when you walk into a room, but your grace, if you're graceful and you're humble, and, like the word says, God will exalt you. You be humble. Don't try to puff yourself up and be loud to be heard.
He really wasn't.
I love that because Medgar Evers was an Alkanite, you're Alkanite, I'm an Alkanite. So it's good that you had that personal experience with him and you can say, okay, this guy got ahead and this were his characteristics, this was his personality. The next one was, what is the biggest disappointment that you have with this generation today?
My disappointment is there so many people want to get over without working for it. You understand? And I'm disappointed because so many young people are on drugs, which really, in other words, when you're on drugs, you're not at yourself.
Yes.
That's a disappointment to me.
I love that answer. It's just so true because there's so many disappointments when it comes to the African American race of this generation because we can really do so much. Our ancestors did so much. We have so much potential hidden in us. I mean, our ancestors did more than we are doing now, and they had less opportunities, you know. And so it's just crazy how we have all this education, we have scholarships, free money, and we don't do anything with it, and we'd rather just stay around and not put what we have inside of us to work.
That's right. I think it's due to drugs.
Right, absolutely. What do you think is the most important thing a woman can have in her life? The most important thing?
A good relationship with God.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
That's very important.
Because He'll hold her when she falls, right? You know.
Right. And if you have a good relationship with God, everything else gonna fall in place.
It will. That's my testimony. Yeah, that's my testimony as well. I mean, when you're trying to do things on your own, you'll have these closed doors. You know, you'll open this and it'll turn out this way. But when God opens a door, nobody can close it. And when He closes it, no one can shut it. You know, open it back up. I mean, it's perfect. You have to have Him. You have to have Him. What would you say to women who are looking for love and are unable to find it?
Ask God for.
And He'll give you the right kind.
Right,
you know?
right.
Just ask God. What do you think a young woman should do if she was unmarried and she caught her husband? Well, she was unmarried and she caught her boyfriend cheating.
Just feel that that's not the person for me, and let him go.
Because so many women settle these days, and they keep taking him back after he cheats, and he shows them who he is, you know. And so, do you think if he cheats, he doesn't love her, or do you think he's not worth that time, or?
He's wasting her time. Because if he's cheating, you're not satisfying him. He's not what you want. What he wants, rather.
Right. Okay, I like that. How do you know when you're dating, when a woman is dating, she's single, and she isn't really in a committed relationship. When she meets a guy maybe in a grocery store, she has a few conversations with him, what for you is the main turn off or something that you should say, okay, that's a red flag, don't date him? What should happen? What is that one thing where she hears that, or he does this, or he says this, and she should be like, oh, nope, that's not the one. Keep going.
If you catch them in a lie.
Yeah. That's a good one. And why do you say that?
Because they're not sincere.
That's so true. I was in a relationship, actually, a while back. And the first thing that happened, I was seeking God, and I was just really, really excited. And the first thing that happened before the downward spiral started was that I caught him in a lie. And I said, well, he's doing this, he's doing that. It's just a small lie. And it was another one. And I said, well, there's small things. I can let that go. But then it got bigger and bigger and bigger.
That's right.
And you are so right. If he lies, that should be the end of that.
That's right.
My next question is, what is the most important thing, because you've been married, what is the most important thing that a marriage needs to have in order to last?
Love for one another.
And how do you know when it's true love? How do you know?
You're not going to catch them lying.
Yeah. I agree. Now, there are a lot of single-parent homes these days. Why do you think that's the case?
There are men that do not want to accept responsibility. That's my thing. People don't want to accept responsibility.
And do you think it's because, the father's running their lives and they didn't show them, or you just think it's the drugs and just everything going on and lack of God?
I think it's drugs and environment.
Yeah, because it's just so prevalent these days, and then the young ladies are growing up without fathers, and then the boys don't know how to be men because they don't have those positive male influences around, and then the ones that they do have are on drugs, like you say, or they're not making the most out of their life, and so they just figure, okay, well, I can get by doing this and doing that because that's the way Daddy did.
Right.
What advice would you give to teenage girls, that are in middle school or in high school, mainly high school, that have just started to date? How can they keep themselves from being taken advantage of by a guy?
Yeah, I just feel that with God, all things are possible.